Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Glad you're with us for another fascinating deep dive. Today we're taking a look at these articles you sent about Walmart, and it looks like you snagged two of the same one from al.com. Both are titled Walmart Store Closings 2024. Full list of locations shutting down this year. So what caught your eye about this? Are you a big Walmart shopper? Are you worried your local store is biting the dust? Or are you just interested in how these giant companies make big decisions?
Yeah, it's definitely more than just, you know, just shutting down some locations that maybe aren't performing as well as they'd hoped. These closures really give us a glimpse into like a massive shift that's happening across the entire retail landscape, almost like watching a giant ocean liner trying to change course.
Right, makes you wonder what's going on behind the scenes. So let's zoom in on what the articles actually tell us. They say Walmart closed 12 stores this year, which, considering they have stores practically everywhere, doesn't sound like a huge number at first.
True. But even a tiny fraction of Walmart's stores represents a massive amount of retail space, and probably even more importantly, a whole lot of employees. This is a sign they're being really deliberate, not just reacting to like random problems here and there.
It definitely makes you wonder what their long-term plan is. So geographically, where are these closures happening? The articles lists stores shutting down in California, Colorado, Georgia, Maryland, Ohio, and Wisconsin.
Interesting. That's a pretty diverse spread across the country. It'd be too easy to just say, oh, one region's economy is struggling. I wonder if they're testing out different strategies in different markets, kind of seeing what works best in the long run.
Yeah, like maybe seeing how certain types of stores perform in certain areas. Now, one closure that really stood out in the articles was the Walmart Neighborhood Market in Huntsville, Alabama. The article says 80 people lost their jobs when it closed.
Wow, 80 people. That's a big blow to a local community,
Wow.
especially somewhere where Walmart might be one of the biggest employers in town. It really makes you think about the ripple effects these decisions have. It's easy to think about it just as like, numbers on a spreadsheet. But it's people's livelihoods we're talking about.
Yeah, these decisions have real-world consequences. And it gets even more interesting when you consider another detail from the article. They mentioned that Walmart also closed 51 in-store health centers earlier this year.
51. Whoa, okay, that's a curveball.
Yeah.
They were really pushing those health centers hard a few years ago, promising affordable health care, especially in areas where there aren't a lot of other options. What made them pull back so suddenly?
Yeah, I was surprised to see that too. It makes you wonder if this is a sign they're stepping back from healthcare altogether. But then there's this other bombshell from the article. Walmart is actually planning to expand. They want to build or convert over 150 of these large format stores, and they're planning to do that in the next 5 years.
Wait, so they're closing some stores but opening even bigger ones. That's a bold strategy. Seems kind of contradictory, doesn't it?
Right, and the article says these new stores are going to have way more products than their current stores. And a ton of new technology, too.
This is giving me serious Target vibes. Remember how Target revamped their stores a few years back? They really focused on a more curated, upscale experience. Could this be Walmart's attempt to attract a different type of customer?
Maybe. It makes you wonder who they're trying to appeal to with these giant tech-heavy stores. Are they going after Target's customer base? Or even trying to compete with Amazon? Or are they trying to create like a whole new category of shopping experience altogether?
Yeah, that's the big question. It's almost like they're hedging their bets, closing some stores that aren't performing, testing the waters with healthcare, and then going all in on these supersized futuristic locations.
So we know these large format stores will have a lot of new technology. But what does that actually mean in a Walmart context? Are we talking like robot greeters and holographic discounts? Haha.
Maybe not that extreme. But it wouldn't surprise me if they were looking at things like personalized recommendations based on your shopping history, or interactive displays that let you virtually try on clothes, maybe even augmented reality experiences that show you how furniture would look in your home. Think about the possibilities.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they're not afraid to experiment. Closing some stores while also expanding, it's a risky move, but it could also be brilliant if they pull it off.
I think they're sending a message with all this. They're saying, hey, we're not just a discount retailer anymore. We're a tech-savvy company, forward-thinking, ready to dominate the future of retail.
Wow, it's getting really interesting. It's not just about store closures. It's about Walmart trying to reinvent itself. You know what? There's actually another detail from the article that I think sheds even more light on this.
You're right. It's like they're going all in with these new stores. And they're really not afraid to incorporate tech either. The article mentioned that some of these large format stores are actually conversions from existing locations. They're not just building new stores from scratch. They're also transforming their current ones.
That makes me think about the employees. What happens to the people who are working in the stores that are closing? Or even those health centers that are shutting down?
Yeah, that's a really important question. I mean, the article mentioned 80 layoffs from that one Huntsville closure alone. And we can only assume there were more across the other locations that are closing. It's a tough reality of this constantly evolving retail landscape. Some jobs will inevitably be lost.
It's true, and it's easy to get caught up in the excitement of new tech and, forget about the actual human impact these decisions have. Like you said, 80 people is a lot of lives disrupted. And what about the skills needed to work in these new tech-heavy stores? Are they offering training programs for employees to transition into those roles?
It's crucial that they do. Think about it. The cashier jobs that are being phased out with self-checkout probably don't translate well to like managing complex inventory systems or troubleshooting interactive displays. If Walmart wants to keep their experienced employees, they need to invest in retraining them.
This brings up a bigger point about the future of retail jobs in general. This isn't just a Walmart thing, it's happening everywhere. Automation is changing the game, and, those who don't adapt are going to get left behind. Do you think we'll reach a point where robots are running the entire store?
It's a question a lot of people are asking.
Yeah.
And while I don't see robots completely taking over, some roles will definitely become more tech-driven. But, think about it this way. While cashier jobs might decline, we're also seeing a rise in demand for tech-savvy employees who can manage those self-checkout kiosks, or even work with the inventory robots, or even design those augmented reality experiences we were talking about. This could actually create new opportunities for people with the right skills.
That's a really good point. It's not just about job losses, it's about jobs changing and evolving. And maybe this push towards technology will force the retail industry to offer better pay and benefits to try and attract and keep those tech-skilled workers.
Exactly. Competition for talent is fierce these days, and retailers are going to have to step up their game to attract the best and the brightest. It's not just about stocking shelves anymore. It's about understanding data, managing complex systems, and creating engaging experiences for customers.
So maybe these closures and expansions aren't a sign of decline for Walmart, but actually a sign that they're trying to stay ahead of the curve and prepare for a future where tech plays an even bigger role in retail. Like they're trying to disrupt themselves before someone else does.
I think you're right on the money there. They're recognizing that the old ways of doing things just aren't going to cut it anymore. They have to be bold, they have to innovate, and they have to be willing to take risks. It's a classic example of adapt or die in the business world.
Now, going back to those closures, I'm curious about the regional aspect of all this. We saw stores closing in California, Colorado, Georgia, Maryland, Ohio, Wisconsin, very different parts of the country. Is this just random chance, or could there be something more strategic going on?
It's highly unlikely that these closures are random. Walmart is a very data-driven company. They're constantly analyzing market trends, demographics, economic conditions. It's possible they're seeing different levels of success with their current store format in different regions. Maybe those closures are in areas where their target customer base is shrinking, or where online shopping is really popular.
That makes sense. They're probably looking at things like population growth, average income, even the presence of competitors.
Yeah, exactly. And don't forget about the cost of doing business in different areas.
Right.
Real estate prices, labor costs, even local regulations can vary significantly from state to state. It's a complex equation with a lot of variables.
So it's not just about closing underperforming stores. It's about optimizing their footprint and making sure they're positioned for success in the long run. It's like they're playing a game of chess, strategically placing their pieces across the board.
I like that. That's a great analogy. They're anticipating their opponent's moves,
Mm.
which in this case could be the changing habits of consumers, the rise of e-commerce, the emergence of new competitors.
Speaking of competition, I'm fascinated by this whole health center situation. They were making a big push into healthcare a few years ago, but now they're closing some of those centers. What do you think is going on there?
It's definitely a head-scratcher. The article said it was because the business model wasn't sustainable, which could mean a lot of things. Maybe they underestimated how complex it is to actually run healthcare clinics. Maybe they faced more competition than they anticipated. Or maybe they just realized it wasn't aligning with their core business goals.
It's interesting because they haven't completely abandoned healthcare. They still have pharmacies and vision centers in a lot of their stores. Maybe they're shifting their focus to those areas where they already have a foothold and can leverage their existing infrastructure.
That's a real possibility. Maybe they're realizing it's more strategic to double down on those core healthcare offerings. rather than trying to be a full-fledged healthcare provider. They could even be looking at partnerships with established healthcare systems to offer more specialized services within their stores.
That reminds me of how they partnered with Instacart for grocery delivery. They realized they didn't need to build their own delivery network from scratch when they could just collaborate with a company that already had the expertise.
Exactly. Sometimes it's smarter to partner with the specialists than to try and do everything yourself. And healthcare is a very complex world, so that might be the most prudent approach for them.
So it seems like Walmart is constantly experimenting, trying new things and making adjustments based on what works and what doesn't. It's a fascinating case study in how a giant company adapts to a rapidly changing landscape.
Absolutely. And it's not just about adapting, it's about innovating
Absolutely.
and creating the future of retail.
Yeah.
Think about how they're using all this new technology in those large format stores. They're not just following trends, they're trying to set them.
With all these changes happening, I can't help but wonder what this means for us, the average shoppers. What can we expect from the future of Walmart? And really, the future of the retail experience in general?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And I think the answer is get ready for a wild ride.
Yeah, it really does feel like we're on the verge of a big shift in retail.
Absolutely.
All right.
And Walmart's leading the charge. They're making these bold moves that could change the entire industry.
But what does that mean for us, the shoppers? Like, will shopping at Walmart in 5 years feel like walking into a sci-fi movie?
Maybe not that dramatic, but I do think we'll see a much more personalized experience and definitely more tech-driven. Imagine walking into a Walmart and your phone lights up with a curated shopping list based on your past purchases, and it even suggests recipes using ingredients that are on sale that week.
Whoa, that's pretty mind-blowing, but also kind of cool, almost like having a personal shopping assistant in your pocket.
Exactly. And think about how augmented reality could change things. Instead of just guessing how that new sofa might look in your living room, you could use your phone to virtually place it there and see it from all angles.
So basically say goodbye to impulse buys and hello to hyper-informed shopping decisions.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. It could lead to a more efficient shopping experience overall, and maybe even a less wasteful one. But it also brings up questions about data privacy. How much information are we comfortable sharing with these retailers?
Yeah, that's a great point. The more personalized they want to make the experience, the more data they need to collect about us. It's a trade-off we'll all have to think about.
For sure. But all this tech isn't just about personalization. It's also about making shopping faster and more seamless. Think about self-checkout kiosks, but on steroids. Imagine scanning your entire basket of groceries in one go, or even just walking out of the store, and your items are automatically charged to your account, like what Amazon is doing with those Amazon Go stores.
That sounds incredibly convenient, but also a little bit scary. What about jobs, though? Are all the cashier and checkout jobs just going to disappear?
It's a very valid concern. And like we were talking about earlier, the impact on jobs is a big part of this whole story.
Yeah.
While some jobs might be lost, I think it's more about a shift in what skills are needed. Instead of needing people to ring up purchases, retailers are going to need people who can maintain those self-checkout systems, or troubleshoot any tech issues that come up, or help customers figure out how to use these new digital features.
So it's not so much about robots replacing humans, but about humans learning to work alongside robots.
Exactly. And that's going to require a lot of investment in training and education. Walmart and other retailers need to make sure their employees are prepared for this.
And as consumers, I guess we need to be aware of these changes too, and maybe even embrace them. Think about how online shopping seemed really strange at first, but now it's totally normal.
Right. It's all about adapting to the new landscape.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Walmart, I think the biggest takeaway is that the retail world is changing rapidly, and Walmart's right there on the front lines.
They're experimenting with new store formats,
Yeah.
embracing technology, trying to figure out what the next generation shoppers is looking for, and whether their strategy works or not. It's going to have a ripple effect throughout the entire industry.
And this isn't just a Walmart thing. This is happening everywhere. So next time you walk into any store, take a look around and you'll see these changes happening. More self-checkout kiosks, digital displays, interactive features. It's a retail revolution unfolding right before our eyes.
And this is just the beginning. The next few years are going to be so interesting to watch. The lines between online and offline shopping are getting blurrier, and technology is reshaping everything.
It's definitely an exciting time to be a consumer. And who knows what the future holds. But one thing's for sure, it's not going to be boring. And to you, our listener, thanks for taking this deep dive with us. We hope this has sparked your curiosity about the future of retail. Until next time.